Welcome to the Level Up Lab, a show where we discuss fitness, nutrition, and all things wellness. We want to demystify what it takes to be healthy and strong while having fun along the way. Sometimes we'll chat, sometimes we'll have guest experts, and sometimes we will go through rigorous clinical trials that either support or refute generally accepted practices in fitness and nutrition. Tyler and Dan are the founders and owners of LVL UP Fitness in Boca Raton, the premier strength training gym in South Florida. We are fierce advocates that building and maintaining lean muscle mass is the key to a long and healthy life. For anyone who wants to be strong, fit, and healthy well into old age, listen to Tyler and Dan lay out the path in a fun and entertaining way. We hope you share and enjoy. Welcome to the show.
All right, here we are.
All right, let's go.
We're doing this.
We are doing this. So my name's Tyler.
I'm Dan.
And this is the Level Up Lab. This is the first episode. And we're really excited because we are doing this in hopes to provide all you guys, members specifically, but obviously anyone listening to the show, some value and trying to explain and demystify a lot of what is out there in the fitness industry that maybe there's a lot of questions around that hopefully we can bring to light and make it a little simpler for you guys. So.
Yeah, I think this is exciting. This is our first time doing this. So hopefully it will be a long string of podcast episodes. Hopefully it will help, give really good information, maybe make a few people laugh along the way. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll try to make everything as simple and straightforward as possible as, hopefully that's our mission, right? To demystify, as you said.
Absolutely. And then also kind of bringing to light, anything that's current, taking studies that are out there that maybe you've heard about that obviously you've never maybe looked into or read. We're going to look into those, read them, and try to get the most up-to-date information out there for you guys. So that way you guys know that what you're referencing is, okay, this is what's out there, this is what's current, and anything else that comes up, I know will be new information. So that will be our goal as far as trying to provide the real tactical information for y'all.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information out there, but it's hard to sift through the information. So having someone like you who's an expert in this who can say, we look at the data and this is what it indicates. Maybe this was a good study that was well controlled. Maybe it wasn't. That would be helpful to, again, making fitness pretty straightforward and simple and effective, right, for everybody?
Exactly. And not everyone has time to look up these studies, and we do. This is my full-time job, so this is what I have to do all day long. So that's the goal. Today, we're just going to keep it real light and easy just because it is our first episode, and we're still getting our bearings, obviously. But we want to kind of go over the philosophy and the origin of kind of how we brought Level Up into Boca, kind of the background of kind of you and I, and then also discussing hopefully some of the benefits of strength training and possibly why more people aren't currently doing strength training right now and kind of going through some of that. So
it's a fun story, by the way, about how you came up with the concept of Level Up, I think, which really goes all the way back to you as a kid, right?
Yeah, that's even before I even had before I even realized what the benefits of strength training was. So for people that don't know, LVL UP Fitness, we are a group strength training gym in West Boca Raton. We teach people how to properly lift weights in a group setting. It's all led by a trainer, and we focus on big compound exercises like squats, deadlifts, rows, presses, lots of big things like that. And we teach you how to do them through different variations, progressions, regressions, things like that. And it's a lot. It's supposed to be low injury, low impact, high volume, and it should be very effective in building muscle. So that was the goal of creating that, because we realized there wasn't anything out there currently.
But also, I think one of the things that was a genius idea that you had is exactly what you said, the levels for Level Up, which make it accessible really for anybody to strength train, right? I think strength training can be very intimidating for people, right, who've never had a barbell on their back, who've never lifted a kettlebell, and you see these racks and rigs, and it's very intimidating. But the thing that you were so forward thinking on was we can create a level for anyone to start to get fit and to progress and be easy essentially to get started with, like you said, without hurting yourself.
Yeah, we try to provide an entry point for beginners, but there's also a track for those that are more advanced and looking to kind of break through any plateaus. It gives them the opportunity to do that. Right. So no matter where you're at, you have a place to start. Of course, that's the goal. We want everyone to be a part of that. But yeah, the origin story, it really goes back.
Before you talk about the origin story, okay. So we've been open now for 2 years, a little over 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Blowing up all over Boca for sure. In fact, walking into this podcast studio, there was a gentleman who's like, "Oh, I love Level Up." He saw me come in with my Level Up logo on my shirt. He knew already. It was we are obviously getting well known in the community, but I think it would be interesting to go back to it feels like we've been around forever, and it feels like we've already had a pretty big impact on the community, and we already have hundreds of members at Level Up. But explain why strength training for you? Like, what was the benefit that you initially saw? And then let's go through that history for you.
Yeah, I mean, the short story of it is I was not an athletic kid growing up. I kind of got athletic once I got into high school, but I had started lifting weights when I was like 12 or 13. I started like little 5-pound dumbbells like in my living room, just like doing lateral raises and bench press, and not even realizing like there was some benefit to that even as a kid. And kids can work out, guys. It's not going to stunt their growth. I know that's a myth that's been out there. Just to start with one myth, like kids can work out as long as it's obviously controlled and safe and they're not hurting themselves. But so yeah, I started young. Never had any problems and continued to do it all the way up through high school. Then I started really seeing the benefit when I started playing sports because the performance got better. Like, oh my gosh, I had muscle. I was running faster. I was, hitting harder, whatever the case was. And so I was like, wow, this is great. I need to keep doing this. But obviously there's all these other exercises and workouts coming out. P90X was really big at that time, and people were doing that and getting results and getting, real thin. But it's like, to really put on size, obviously strength training, now, but kind of going back to where I was. So yeah, I got to college, worked at the gym there, continued to strength train all throughout that time, was also running. So I kind of got to get into that world a little bit. Got out of college, started working at a HIIT gym, high intensity interval training, and was there for a very long time, and always still strength trained. And I realized that there's way more benefit, or there's significant more benefit in having steady strength training, like doing it a couple of days a week paired with other things than just doing like the cardio stuff alone. Right. And I just started seeing, and then I started noticing people that was personal training, they were kind of doing both workouts, but the strength training they were getting more benefits from. So again, this is all anecdotal. And this is all just from my experience growing up and seeing it. And now all of a sudden strength training is really popular. It's in, you're seeing it all over social media and the internet. And now we're starting to see the research and the studies back up all the benefits that are coming from that.
Yeah, let's unpack some of that.
Yeah,
because I think you went through a lot of history relatively quick there, but you said you had the benefit of strength training really even from like middle school, right?
Yeah,
when you started lifting weights, and in high school playing sports, playing football, right, playing soccer. Yeah, you saw the benefit of that, and in college you were already a trainer, right, at that time, and you were doing just personal training? Were you doing classes? What were you doing back then?
Yeah, no, I was doing mostly classes. I had kind of a choice whether I want to do personal training or Group X, and Group X was actually the cheaper one, so I went with that actually. Okay, yeah. But not realizing that it's kind of all the same thing in the grand scheme of things. But doing group is you obviously have more access to more people, so you have more influence. And you can tell more people, hey, this is. And it took a little while for me to kind of obviously realize because I was young and learning, and it wasn't my full-on field. Like I'll admit I didn't go to school for it, but I'm a student of the game, and I've read studies, and I'm constantly getting my recertifications and stuff. But I just seeing how much people were benefiting from like doing just the little bit of added strength work. And I did a lot of resistance classes and plyometrics and stuff, but the resistance stuff was always what got people the best results. Okay. So,
and then like you said, you fast forward, you were working at a high intensity interval class-based gym for a long time. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I think is really cool in your trajectory is from college to that job to Level Up, class-based training was really common in there, which I think those of us who have taken those classes or members of Level Up, we know the huge community benefit that you get from class-based training. You also get the benefit of the coaches, really giving you, personalized attention. Even if they have a class, they're still giving you personalized attention. And you're getting the benefit of working out with other people, being motivated by other people, meeting people who also like to get fit, right, and want to do fun things together. That's a huge benefit too. So talk a little bit about that for a second before we go into all of the benefits of strength training and how we then made Level Up happen.
Yeah, I mean, the group thing is very, very important. And, before even Level Up really got started, we even started with a boot camp out at the park that were kind of supplementing those high intensity interval workouts. And they were a little more strength based, but I think the benefit of group is obviously it's just that you have people that are keeping you accountable. You have friends that you're trying to meet there, and if you're not there, they're going to give you a hard time about it. Seeing that, and while personal training, it's very effective. Especially if it's one-on-one, it is expensive. You do have to coordinate schedules with one other person. It's unless you're really doing it full clip into the T. It's hard to get results with that as well, and you're spending a lot more money. So I feel like the happy medium is finding a class that's going to give you all the benefits that you would get from a trainer, but again, it's more cost effective.
Yeah. Let's go into that period now where you're at that other gym that shall remain nameless.
If you know, you know.
But honestly, I'm so thankful that I worked out there for a long time because that's where I met you. You were the head trainer of that gym. I loved the workout there, and I was working out with you more than anybody. And you and I started to become friends probably like 10 years ago now.
Yeah,
right.
It's getting there.
And you mentioned that boot camp, right? So we were doing our classes. You know, you were coaching hundreds and thousands of classes, and then you decided to host a boot camp in the park for anyone who wanted to do Spartan races, right? That was the idea. We were going to do Spartan races, obstacle course races. You did it for free though, which is amazing. Like you would tell people like, hey, if you want to come out to the park, I'm going to be leading a boot camp. And next thing you know, there was like 30, 40 people coming out, and you were doing it for free. Like that's unbelievable. So for those of you who don't know, like the kind of person that Tyler is, if you didn't get to know him yet, that's the kind of person that he is, like doing things above and beyond, and sometimes not even charging people money for it, you know, because he has all the expertise and he wanted to do it too, right? You wanted to train too. So you were training with us, but that was the foundation of what became Level Up, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's Dan's way of saying that I'm a bad businessman, not asking for money, but it's fine. I did it for free. Well, one, because I was working out with you guys, and it was something new. I'm like, hey, this is something I want to get into. And actually, it was an idea. I can't take credit because it was an idea that another trainer that I knew back then, he was doing it as well with a group down south. And I was like, this is really cool. I want to get this. I want to do this as well. And it just grew. It just ballooned up, and it became like, oh, I saw the benefit of the community. Because even in the other gym, yeah, people were working out together, but the community wasn't as strong as like what we have now. Yeah. And that is so important. Yeah. I mean, that's the intangible, the thing that like, if you don't have that, I don't know how you succeed. I don't know how as a gym, I don't know how, if you don't have like a strong community of people that are all kind of on the same mission with the same kind of goal and mindset, it's tough.
It takes a leader. And honestly, I think, you know, you are that leader because, you know, we have this core community at Level Up. A lot of those people came from that boot camp and also came from that other gym. So that community has remained kind of intact, mostly because you led it and developed it, and it became this, you know, group of people who love to be together, love to get fit, and now it's growing, right, at Level Up. So let's now talk a little bit about what happened where you came up with this idea, right? You came up with the idea of Level Up. Talk about when you came up with the idea, and then how we progressed.
So full circle, it actually was a gift that the boot camp provided me and Jacqueline. Y'all got us a gift certificate for a really nice restaurant up in West Palm. I was like, this is sweet. So we go out to eat, and when we walk in, it was a really nice restaurant. They gave us a glass of champagne. I'm like, I've never been to a place like this. So we're drunk on champagne. I'm like, Jack, I've got this great idea for an iPhone app. It's going to be like Tinder. You swipe left and swipe right, but it's going to be exercises. She's like, okay, why don't you just make that into a gym? I'm like, and just looking through like hazy eyes again. We're, you know, 3 or 4, I was probably 4 or 5 glasses in, but yeah. I was like, you know what? I mean, we can start talking it through. So we started, you know, kind of writing down some ideas. I got a notebook with all this stuff, and COVID happened. Yeah. I think it was right before COVID.
Yeah, this was right before COVID. Yeah.
And then obviously shutdowns happened. Gyms were closing. We're all on Zoom. We're all doing happy hours, you know, these weird things. Virtual happy hours. Jesus, never again, please.
Yeah, please, never.
Never again. Good God. But you and I were hanging out. We're just the two of us, and we got really close during COVID during that time. Obviously, we got close during the boot camp, and one thing that Dan didn't say is he was helping me out as well. He would bring a bunch of equipment. He would bring kettlebells, battle ropes, so we were able to expand the amount of people we could service. Okay. But so COVID happened. We're sitting, we're talking, and I'm telling the idea. I'm like, I got this idea for a gym. We could start with the community and everything, but it's going to be a lot of money. It's a lot of time. We got to get a lawyer. We got to get and you're just like, okay,
I'm in.
I'm like, what? I almost fell out of my seat. Also, I was probably drunk at the time too.
I don't think you believed me the first time I said that I wanted to do it. Like, I think you were like, yeah, whatever. And then,
well, I was like, oh, this is just, you know, just happy hour talk. You know, you're like, yeah, man, I got this great idea. It's like, yeah, tell me about it.
Well, it's kind of funny because you're right. This was during COVID, right? We weren't really hanging out with a lot of people, but you and I were like bubbling together. Like, I'd come over to your house, you'd come over to my house. We'd have dinner together, have a few drinks, talk about, you know, what fun things we were going to do when we can all get back together again. And you had told me about this idea, and like immediately, and you know, I had been working out with you at that other gym and at boot camp, and then you and I were also like working out together, strength training at a third gym, at another gym, and that's when I was really starting to get into the benefits of strength training from one-on-one with you. And when you said, I want to open up a gym that does that, I was like, yeah, I'm in. And the only person I would do that with is you. Like, you were already like one of my best friends and such a motivational coach, that I was like, yeah, I would do this with you. I probably wouldn't do it with I don't know shit about fitness at the time. So like, I didn't even know if I would be able to be an effective business partner, but I was like, I want to do this with Tyler.
Well, and the reason why I was so excited that you were on board is that you were willing to go along with my idea of like, hey, like this is not going to be hit. Like it'll be maybe a small portion of it, but like it's going to be different from what everything else is out there. Like everything else is, high intensity interval training. You're jumping around, you're sweating, your lights are off in the gym, whatever. I don't know. That's the thing. Yeah. And no, like we're doing like controlled lifts, compound lifts. People are actually going to get strong. At least that's the goal. And we're going to try to provide all the means and services to do that. Yeah. And you were like, no, that sounds great. But I was like, it may not work. There's a chance that this isn't going to work.
Yeah, and I was a huge beneficiary of that HIIT style training. It did help me get fit, and the boot camps helped me get even more fit. Yeah. But then I realized the benefit of strength training when we would do that kind of one-on-one training at the other gym that we would go to. Like that, I started to see real benefits very fast on that. And I wanted to do more of that. And I knew you were the expert on this, so I didn't know all the benefits of strength training that we eventually found out later. But I knew that this was going to be a good workout and it would be a great community. And you had so many people who wanted to follow you wherever you went too. So even from a business aspect, I knew, well, this isn't going to be very risky. There's got to be at least 100 people that want to follow Tyler wherever he wants to go.
And we could try to make that work somehow. Like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And now it's, now we're starting to get into like the current history, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so I remember during COVID, I remember you scribbling on a piece of paper exactly what the gym you wanted it to look like, the layout of the gym. And, I wish all of our Level Up people could have seen that drawing because it's exactly what Level Up looks like right now. That first schematic was literally almost identical to what we eventually created, right? And the things I remember you saying that really got me excited was functional fitness. Like this isn't just about strength training. It's about strength training so that when you get to be 70, 80, 90 years old, you can lift your grandkids. You can still put your suitcase in the overhead compartment, that you can do all the things that you do today for your entire life. That was the idea behind Level Up was, not to be like a meathead gym, not to be a place where you're going to throw heavy weights around and run the risk of injury. It's to prepare you for the rest of your life, right? That's the idea. But the first time you told me about strength training, you said something different.
Yeah, I was like, listen, the biggest thing is we got to train people to get ready for the zombie apocalypse, man. The pandemic was happening. I'm like, is this the start of it? Is this happening now? I'm like, guys, we got to get ready.
The zombie apocalypse. Yeah,
so I went to work.
I remember that. But the reality is, the science of fitness and longevity all of a sudden has real data where we didn't have a whole lot of data 5 years ago, 10 years ago on what works in fitness as far as benefiting your health and longevity. And now there's actually real robust science that shows, and you know this as well, if not better than I do, that strength training, muscle mass is highly correlated with longevity. In fact, one of the best markers and predictors of longevity is muscle size and muscle mass, right?
Yeah. The amount of muscle you physically have like on your body will essentially tell you how long how long you have a chance of living. Granted, other things come into effect, but like everything else considered, if you've got more muscle on you, like you're just a stronger person and you will continue to get through the later in life a lot easier, or you will like you said, your longevity increases. And it's great that now we're starting to have that data, and that's one thing we're really excited to show everybody is, hey, here's all the things that we're always talking about that now we can back it up, and this is really current. This is a study that came out a month or two ago, so this is like what is out there right now.
Yeah, and what's shocking to me, and we're going to get into these studies as we do more of these podcasts, is the benefit of strength or muscle mass. It has been proven to be more beneficial even than smoking cessation, which is unbelievable, right? Yes. The health benefits of stopping smoking, right? That's obvious. It's, everybody would want to stop smoking, but actually building muscle mass is more correlated with longevity than even smoking cessation or whatever. That blows my mind. And these are from like well-controlled studies, not, these pseudoscience studies. These are well-controlled studies. So we're going to have entire episodes about that. But I think that's just absolutely fascinating. So your experience growing up and what you ended up creating, you didn't know yet that the science was going to show that that was great,
right?
But now we actually have real evidence of that.
Right. And not to say that all the other workouts out there, and I want to be very clear, like if you're working out, as long as you're moving and doing something, it's benefiting you. Yeah. It's good. Like all movement is good. We don't move enough as a society. We need to move more. But the issue is people, once they get into that, they're like, well, I want to look a certain way. I want my body to have a certain shape. And it's like the workouts that they're doing are not catered to their goal. That will also be an episode I think we'll do is like real goal setting, be like, hey, here's like a list of like a few different goals. Like here's the things you actually need to do to get there. It's not like a one size fits all. And that's what I think a lot of people like get mixed up with. Yeah.
And there's so many different modalities when it comes to fitness and what works for certain things. Like, by no means are we saying that cardiovascular activity is bad. Of course not. It's very good. The body.
You need to do cardio.
Yeah, you have to.
Please go run.
Yeah. You have to, run, bike, swim. Right. You don't necessarily need a gym for that, right? Because you can do a lot of those things kind of on your own. Some people love to do them in a gym. I love to do them in a gym too, but not everybody needs to do that. But in order to do effective strength training, you usually need like a fair amount of equipment. Not many people are going to want to buy all that stuff for their house or have the room to do it. So you come to a place like Level Up where we have like everything you could possibly want in one space and a coach telling you exactly what you should do.
Right. And then also like you have all that equipment. Like, are you using it effectively? Are you getting the most out of it? Are your reps, are you doing full range of motion? Is everything in alignment? Are you actually targeting the muscle you want to target? Like these are things that most people, they're just working out. They're doing something. They got a workout that they got, a video or on YouTube or something, and they're just doing it and they're thinking that it's going to change something that they don't like about themselves. Like, well, there's more to it than that. Yeah. And it's a little more, unfortunately, it is more complicated. But that's why people that have these physiques, it's like, wow, like that was a lot of time, effort, and honestly, knowledge. You have to know how to build up like that. And that's something we try to do at Level Up is provide a general strength training program. So it's like, hey, you're going to get more athletic. You're going to build up everything as a whole, not just like, okay, one part of you is going to be like super elite and then the rest is kind of like to the wayside. We try to build you up as a whole.
Right. And the idea, again, is for your entire life, right?
Yes.
So if you think about, I'm 50, almost 52 years old. Oh God, it hurts.
You're doing great.
It hurts when I say that. But at this age, I'm losing muscle mass every year, right? That's just the normal aging process. And, that's for men or women. Mm-hmm. Once you get past age 30, really, you start to lose muscle mass. And so that over a longer period of time opens you up to osteoporosis, sarcopenia, a number of things that put you at risk as a person as you start to get weaker and older. And so if you can head some of that off by lifting heavy things and eating a lot of protein, mm-hmm. right, then you can maintain and maybe even gain some muscle mass, but at least maintain it so that you're stronger for longer in your life, and it allows you to do more cardiovascular activity, right? And to do more things functionally than you could do if you didn't lift weights, right? That's the thing. And a lot of people definitely focus on now more on protein consumption, eating a lot more protein, but protein itself isn't really going to build muscle mass for the most part. You have to, eat protein and then lift heavy things, right?
You have to have a stimulus. You have to have something that's going to cause, like, again, the whole point of working out is you're getting your body to adapt to be able to pick up these heavier loads. So it's like, if you're not picking up heavier things over and over again, your body has no reason to adapt. Why would it change?
Right.
So same thing with including more protein in your diet. Now you're including more muscle building, amino acids and proteins. And now that's, again, something that your body will see as change. That's the thing that people, they don't understand. I shouldn't say, but a lot of people don't understand is it takes quite a bit of change for you to actually make a change in your body. Cause what you've been doing up to this point is kind of, the way you are, the way you look now. So if you want to make a change in either direction, you have to make those changes. Where you want to gain weight, you got to eat more. You want to lose weight, you got to eat less. You want to build muscle, you got to lift weights. So it is cause and effect. And I think more people just need to come back to that and stay focused on it. And
it's it can be made a little bit simple, right? When you talk about fitness and nutrition, it can get very complicated very quickly. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of jargon, right? There's a lot of different schools of thought on everything. So when you try to take it all in, especially through social media, which all of us do to some degree, it becomes confusing very quickly, and it's hard to know what are the big things that are the 80% of the benefit, and what are the small things that are only 5 or 10% benefit. And so I think that's one of the things that'll be great for us to discuss as we go on is like, all right, these are the big important things, and let's make them pretty simple. The little things, maybe we'll get into some of those little things, but we'll also tell you if they're little things,
Right. I'd be like, don't sweat this too much, but this does exist. Do you think that's a big reason why a lot of people don't strength train? Like, what do you think is like the biggest reason, like why people don't fully get into it? Because I have my reasons, but I'm a trainer, and you being that, I mean, now you're a trainer, now that you're all certified, but you've been a consumer of fitness for a long time, and you've kind of know what you're looking for a workout program. So, what is it about strength training that maybe has people worried, scared, or intimidated?
Well, I think you have to learn a little bit first. So I wasn't in this mindset, as you know, until fairly recently, and I think there's a lot of reasons. I think one, the science that shows the benefits of strength training is relatively new. I think there was like a belief in a lot of it from especially the strength training community, but there wasn't always a lot of data to back it up because there wasn't rigorous studies that would show it until most recently. But I think it also is kind of just a vestige of what fitness has been for a long time, and nutrition too, right? Where, it was all about getting skinny. Everything was about, you need to be skinny. And if you're skinny, you're not fat, and that means you're going to live a healthier life. Mm-hmm. And so you ended up with a nutrition that was kind of upside down, right? Where you had people consuming a lot of low calorie or low fat things, but it was also a lot of like empty calories, not a lot of nutrients, not building a lot of muscle mass. And so you may be skinny as you get older, but then you're also more frail, if you didn't put on muscle mass. So I think there's this old vestige of like, you just do a ton of cardio and try to eat low calories and low fat. And that's kind of what the fitness industry kind of became. And if you look at, gyms broadly, especially the biggest ones, they're much more focused on cardiovascular activity, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's just not a lot of strength training, incorporated in it, or not enough, let's say, or maybe not thoughtful enough strength training. Now, because the science is starting to come out, I think you're finally starting to see some people come around and realize that this has to be a really core part of my fitness, right? I could still do a cardio. You know me, I still run a ton. I love running, but I need to build muscle mass too. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to keep me healthy. Also, I think people finally understand that if you actually build lean mass, it helps you burn fat mass too, right? So, I don't think many people connected all of those things before. And, that's just my opinion. I mean, I've been a consumer for a long time of fitness, but even I was very slow to adapt to what you already knew, essentially. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you're saying there. I think that's a lot of that, but I think it's also two other things. One, I think it's the fitness industry itself. I don't think the industry as a whole is really, I think mentally we're ready, but the skills and the coaching, like strength training is very complicated. Like, you've got some of the top coaches in the world going over some really complicated things, and they're doing, things like, again, you're getting real elite, like Olympic lifting, but even just like general powerlifting and bodybuilding and things like that, there's so much that goes into that. And I think a lot of trainers, when they get into it, they obviously want to help people, want to make them feel good, make them lose a little bit of weight, but then to really make the changes, like your client's been with you for 2 years and now, hey, I want to actually like build up my shoulders, I want to build up my glutes, and I think it's a little bit of fear of like, I don't fully know how to get that person there all the way, so I don't feel confident in putting all my eggs in that basket. Yeah. And so, again, that's just one part of the industry. I see it shifting to more of that. I think we're becoming more educated, which is fantastic. It's going to mean more people are going to get healthier, stronger, and they're going to feel better. So, I think we're getting there, but I think that's kind of one thing. And then the other is I think people are still obsessed with the scale. I think people, their number, and I get it because, I'm still, I'm not super young, not super old, but like I still have, it was always get that number lower, get your weight down. When growing up as a kid, it's like, hey, you want to do whatever, you got to weigh this weight, or so.
That's totally true.
And I think people still like live and die by that. And I have to remind people, like I had a client, I remember one time in my old gym, and she showed me her before and after. She had weighed 135 pounds when she started. 16 weeks later, she weighed 135 pounds, but she was down 11% body fat. Wow. It was, and before and after, it wasn't like anything I've ever seen. She's like, but I weigh the exact same.
Yeah.
Like not a half pound
she wasn't
heavier.
Happy about that, right?
No, she was thrilled, but it was like a mind.
But it blew her mind that she could get those results.
Blew my mind too, because I was 24 at the time. I was a young trainer, and I was like, oh my God, like it was just, I'll never forget that moment. And it was 11% down in about 4 months. And it was just night and day. And my favorite analogy is, hey guys, if Jennifer Aniston weighed, or if you looked like Jennifer Aniston and you weighed 225 pounds, would you care?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like the number, I really hope that in the future we can start to get away from that and really come back to overall composition, how you look in the mirror, how your clothes fit. It's the stuff we say all the time, but I don't think enough people take it to heart and don't do it themselves.
That's why we got that 3D body composition scanner in the gym, right? So that we can show you, even if your weight is the same or maybe even went up a little bit, if we can show you that your lean mass went up and your fat mass went down, and look, you can see the side-by-side images of yourself. You can see it now. You can see the change, and so you less emphasis on the scale, more on your body composition, like you said. How do I look in the mirror? Because most people can look in the mirror and they can tell, if they've had a change or not. Their clothes definitely will fit better or worse. That's super important. Which brings me to another thing I was thinking about with why hasn't strength training become a bigger thing? It's related to that, which is I think there are different reasons for men and women sometimes. So I think for men, some of them had pretty bad experience. Actually, women too had bad experiences at like a CrossFit, right? Because CrossFit, is like the early strength training, classes that were a very complex, difficult moves where it's easy to get injured. So I think maybe it hurt, the want to be in strength training a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of going off that, I would agree. And first of all, I'm a big fan of CrossFit. I think if you can stay healthy and do CrossFit, it's the best workout out there. There's some of the fittest people on the planet. But yeah, it's wildly advanced, and not even complicated. It's just the movements you're doing are just, you've got to be an athlete to be able to do some of those things, like an overhead squat and, full barbell snatches. But I don't want to say they hijacked all those movements. They hijacked all the Olympic lifting and kind of powerlifting moves for a while. But I think now when people see those things like, oh, so this is like CrossFit. We get compared to CrossFit a lot. And I'm like, this isn't CrossFit. There's elements like in CrossFit. Again, it's a great workout, but it's a completely different thing. And it's a lot more like, again, low impact, high volume, more control. And, but again, they were the pioneers of it all. They kind of lay the framework of saying like, hey, this is like another way you can get fit rather than doing the insanity. And it's
a great workout, but it's also, there's some high risk elements to it, right? Which is what I think gave strength training a little bit of a bad name, but, and then the other is, I think, I hear this more from ladies, but even some guys that they just don't want to look muscular. I've definitely heard, from ladies like don't want to be overly muscular. I don't want to look bulky. Right. Of course. And I can understand that because one, it seems to be that from the beginning of strength training, women see the benefit faster. They see the muscle benefit faster, so that you may extrapolate like, oh my gosh, I now see muscles are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yes, exactly. The beginner gains.
The beginner gains, right? And the other is what is the type of body, like you said, that the ladies really want to have, and a lot of it is still a lean. Some people really want that lean look, right? That runner look, which is, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're going for, right? But I think that made strength training a little bit of a longer road for ladies to get to, but we're seeing that kind of fall back down. I think the science being so beneficial for functional fitness and preserving muscle mass as we age, I think has overwhelmed all of those concerns.
Yeah. And as much as some people don't want to admit it, I think social media played a big part of it. I keep saying like, God, if it wasn't for like the internet and people showing like, hey, here's my workouts I'm doing. It's like, well, this person is really fit and looks great and isn't bulky at all. And they're doing, heavy deadlifts for, 3 sets of 10. It's like, oh, okay, so I think people are now, they're visually seeing it, they're seeing more anecdotal evidence, and now, obviously with the research, paired with it all, I think that will hopefully be the trend and we get more people to do that.
Yeah. And I think also like pulling together nutrition with strength training too, right? So like if you want to get bulky, you can, but you have to eat for it, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. People don't understand there's two parts to that, guys. You have to eat just as much as you're lifting, and the people that are big, like they got there way before they even that size. You'll notice you're getting bulky way before you ever get bulky.
Yeah, and some of us are genetically predisposed to more muscle mass too, so there is something to that.
But not that many of us, not as many as people think. Everyone's like, I'm one of those people. No, you're not. It's not that many.
But I think that's that is, and look, from the business side, I do think having a strength training class-based workout like we do is a tougher business, right? Because you can't have an unlimited number of people in there. In order for the coach to be able to be effective and making sure that people are doing lifts in a proper way with good form and all of that, you can't have an unlimited number of people in there. So you have to be willing to have a smaller business, right? And I love that because it allows us to have a better experience for our members. But like if you you can throw a whole bunch of strength training equipment in like an EOS or whatever and let people go off and do what they do for $15 a month, but then you have no coach, you have nobody telling you if you're doing it right or wrong. There's nobody to motivate you and make sure you're programming your own workouts properly, right? So EOS probably has an awesome business, and Planet Fitness has definitely an awesome business, but you're probably not going to get fit there,
right?
Where we're actually, hopefully, I know we are getting people very fit in a very good way, very well coached way.
Yeah. It's those business models of like the big box gyms, their goal is to get people to sign up, and then hopefully those people never show up again, but you're going to keep paying because you have a gym membership.
Yeah.
When our model, like many other boutique, class-based systems, it's the opposite. We want you there. You're paying obviously a little bit more up front, but the coaching is better, programming's better. Like, it's a lot more well thought out, and you should be getting results. I mean, that to me is the end game. Is you're joining a gym to get a result. You buy something to get a result. Like, that's the whole idea.
I think that's what I think that I love that we're aligned like that. Like, we're not a gym that wants our members to not show up. Like, we are dying to have you come to the gym, right? You're paying a pretty good amount of money every month to come to work out with us. And the only way you're going to get the benefit of that is if you actually come, where, like you said, if you go to one of those big box gyms, they're perfectly content with you not coming. They're collecting their $15 a month or whatever, and they can have 5,000 members of one single gym. And we're not going to be able to do that, but we're going to get people fit, meet their goals, maintain that for a long period of time. I think that's huge.
And I think the other thing that causes gyms to be successful is the other amenities they provide. I see a lot of gyms in our area that they're doing like little run clubs and stuff, like kind of like what we have. We have a run club, and we have obviously nutritional support, and we do like socials and things like that. The gyms that do that are successful. They got good communities, and the members look great. The members look, that's the thing. If you've got members that are bought into the community, they'll be bought into your workout, and then all of a sudden they're getting results, and everyone's winning. Everyone looks good. Everyone feels better. So yeah,
we can have we're going to probably have an entire episode about community, because I think it's just it's a huge part of any good gym, right? Is the people, the members. The members are the biggest part of the community. The staff is a big part of it too, but I think the members themselves, and they show up every day. They, like you said at the beginning, they keep each other accountable. They have fun together. I'm always shocked at how much fun our 5:30 a.m. class has every morning. Like, they love being there. It's how they start their day. It's, often a lot of the same people every day. They love to work out together. They love to motivate each other. I think that's pretty awesome. And you see that through the day. I'm just surprised that the 5:30 a.m. people are that awake.
5:30 a.m., 5 a.m. is always a bump in time. No matter, however long I've been doing fitness, every time I teach a 5 a.m. class, when I work down in Miramar, man, that place, 5 a.m., you have 30, 40 people showing up, and the place is just packed. And then, of course, it's in Miramar, so I think I told you the story when Despacito came out. They were just like yelling, play it again, play it again. I think that was the only song we listened to the entire class.
That's really funny.
It was fun. It was one of the best times. So much fun. Oh, my God.
Despacito. We may have to bring that back this week.
I think so.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Just on repeat. Dude, this was fun, man. I think
great.
This is a good place to wrap it up for the first one. We really appreciate all you guys, checking us out, tuning in, seeing what we're all about. And we look forward to providing a lot more value to you guys in the future episodes. And feel free to start submitting us questions. We'll be doing Q&A episodes as well. Yeah. So if there's something that's on your mind, you want to ask, send it to us. We'll provide links. I know our production will put it all together for us, and you guys can submit those, and we can go over them in future episodes and hopefully get you guys fit and strong.
Yeah. And we're going to have fun while we do it.
Cool. All right, man.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, buddy.